lowest any rotary changeover. I checked. That's the least amount. All the other Rotary clubs are much more, and ours is just $70. So I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna put them in Jamal's hands, and Jamal will be responsible, making sure you can just make sure the money's not given to him, okay? All right, excellent. So we are gonna do, is there any other announcements? Did I miss anything? I want to make sure we got every announcement before the end of the day. Oh, one other announcement. Beginning this week, I think a number of our Rotarians, Francine is traveling in Wednesday, Wayne is traveling on Friday. I will be traveling, and Samita will be traveling on Saturday and Sunday. Of course, we all know the PELS is coming up, the PELS conference, that's the president-elect conference for our leaders who will be going over. And that's coming up this coming week, next week actually. It begins, the cruise starts on Monday. And but we'll be traveling over there on Saturday. But some of us are going on Wednesday. I'll be going on Saturday, and we're looking to have a great time for our leadership. That's going to be there. This year, it's a little different. Normally, we would actually go to one of the Caribbean islands, and we were scheduled to go to Haiti. But this year, because of the unrest that's happening in Haiti, it's going to be a cruise. Okay, so we're going to be cruising to Jamaica. Falmouth, Jamaica, we're going to be cruising over there. It's going to be a lot of work. You'll be working so hard while we're on that cruise. Can't you see the sweat that is already on my brow that I'm working? But listen, it's so good to have these wonderful visiting folks here from BNT. I'm going to introduce you in just a moment, but I have to make mention to my very good colleague and friend, Alexis. That's my girl. Got a shout out to her. My kids okay. They all, I used to make sure the children okay and making sure they're doing well. But ladies, it's good to have you. And it's good when you can support one of your colleagues who are coming out to speak on a very, very good topic. All right, if there's no other announcements, Danny, is there anything that you needed to announce before I get into our speaker today?
No, sir.
You're announcing, you are introducing our speaker, correct?
I can.
Okay, so come prepared to announce. You're looking for your phone in.
Hallelujah.
That's okay, Danny. You can't find your phone? No problem, brother. I'm always ready. I'm always ready. Here we go. So, Catherine Colby. Catherine, it's good to have you with us. You might want to just get somebody to cover your phone, right? Y'all make sure. That's one of the waiters. Just come and come up. Thank you so much. So Catherine Colby is an education officer representing the Bahamas National Trust, the National Park Manager of the Bahamas. She holds a bachelor's in environment science with a focus on ecology and conservation. Catherine has dedicated 8 years to furthering conservation efforts. She is particularly enthusiastic about science, communication, and fostering positive experiences in nature for both youth and adults. Our presentation today will explore conservation and national parks and their vital role in safeguarding our natural resources. Ladies and gentlemen, it's such an honor to have Catherine Colby here today. Come on, let's welcome her. Give her a nice Rotary Club of
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation and for having me here today at the meeting. I heard from former BNC President Jeff that this was your Environmental Month. And so I was just excited to be welcomed. And I have great feelings for Rotary, and my dad is a Rotarian. I'm happy to have him here as well.
All right.
Okay.
They're gonna get you in just a minute.
Well, like I said, my topic today is Beach and National Park. People think of BNT, they either think event for like jollification, Festival of Noel, Bahama, or if you know that you might think of restoration efforts, like saving the flamingos, the Bahama Pirate. And today I'm gonna talk about conservation through the lens of who we are as people. Oh, there we are.
On the screen?
Yeah, but
Okay, great.
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. All right. And this is our topic. This is a beautiful picture of the flamingos in Inagua National Park. And it is a park that was opened in 1965 for our conservation effort to save the West Indian flamingo. So next slide for me. Again, I'm an education officer at PNP. That means I get to go outside and have fun with people. So this is NCA's Nature Club. Their students and I went on 3 different field trips over the course of the school year to expose them to the national parks and the islands. We've been snorkeling together. This is a picture of Primeval Forest. Near Albany. They've also come to the retreat garden. They went bird watching with us. And I love fostering positive experiences outdoors for not only youth, but adults. Many people don't know what's out there. And we think that we have to go to see the Grand Canyon or we have to go to Belize and Mexico and all these far off places to see natural wonders, and they're right here, literally in our backyard. Next slide. So a little bit about BMT. So BMT was established in 1959. We've been here for over 65 years, leading the way in conservation. And so we protect over 2 million acres of land or marine space. Annually through our youth programming, we touch over 20,000 lives. We have a staff of now up to about 90 Bahamians, and we have 33 national parks. And the newest one is Seahorse National Park in Patrick Bay, Eleuthera. And we are spread across 9 family islands, and that number will be growing. Next slide. And these are the pillars of our organization. So of course, we're here for the park. And so the national park are top, front, and center. Science, we are a science-driven organization. So all decisions in maintaining these very special places must be backed with data. And then education. What's the point of having the information if we're not going to share it with others? Because many hands make light work, and we cannot do all of the work on our own. And so this is just a closer look at our national park map. So you can see they are spread across the islands, all the way from Grand Bahama down to Inagua, with 4 of them on the island of New Providence. And these are just some of the key species that we are helping to preserve and protect. So the Bahama parrot, you can find them in Abaco, but they've also been seen in Inagua. We have those 2 populations. Columbus, when he landed, said that they blacked out the sky. That's how prolific they were, and now we struggle to see them. And so we are happy to report that their IUCN, so the organization that registers where a species is, how close they are to extinction, or how far away they are from it, they are no longer threatened. So they are slowly inching their way up to least concern, which is where we want them to be. The Bahamas is a shark sanctuary, and then our beloved flamingo is another important project for the BNT. Next slide. So I'm just highlighting the 4 national parks that we have here on New Providence. So Bonefish Pond, which is our most popular park. It is a over 1,200 acre mangrove ecosystem. In this photo, we have some persons kayaking, but that's where I take students or adults kayaking, snorkeling. We wade through the mangroves. You can see spotted eagle rays, southern stingrays, sea turtles, lots and lots of fish. The retreat garden, probably most known to people as the BNT in Nassau, right? The name of that place is the retreat garden. It's our former headquarters. It is a luscious palm garden. And then we have perennial forest, our old growth forest. So you travel back in time to see what the Lucayans would have seen. And then Harold and Wilson Pond, which is currently closed for restoration, but it's great for seeing waterfowls. You'll see lots of ducks and mallards and birds out there. Okay, so I hope to see Rotary at one of those parks soon.
I was there this weekend, primeval.
Yes. So the National Parks, they Carmichael Forest and the Retreat Garden are open to the public for free with lots of activities. And so that brings us to today's topic, conservation and why it matters to all of us. Conservation is not just the trees are important and the animals are important too. Conservation is important to us because it preserves who we are. It preserves our identity, culture, history, and it preserves our living space. All right, so we've got two paths. Go backwards. Yeah, so we've got some of our efforts here. So this is one of our park wardens. He's out here diving. He found the cones. These are students in Exuma, Mariah Harvey King National Park on a field trip. And then we also have lots of mangrove plantings to restore Goldfish Pond, which is actually an illegal dumping ground prior to its opening in 2002. And so these components of science, education, and restoration are what we focus on. Next slide. And so we're here with our national bird, the West Indian flamingo. This bird is our national bird, but it was almost not. It almost was extinct. It was hunted for sport. It was hunted for its plumage. It was very well sought after. And in the 1950s, there was a great restoration effort for it. So they should have been all across the Caribbean and as well in Florida, but you could not find them. The Audubon Society found a small population of them on the island of Inagua, and so the restoration effort began. And so BRT took over this once they were established in 1959, and they hired local hunters to get rid of the predators that were affecting their nests, so which would be wild hogs. Wild hogs, unfortunately, will go after the eggs of the flamingos, and flamingos only have one egg, right? So the parents work together to raise this one egg and to take care of their young. So these are all pictures of flamingos in Inagua from Inagua National Park. So we go to the next slide. So this is a current photo of their nesting, and we're happy to report that the flamingos have bounced back. So we had a problem with hogs returning to the island, and our current park warden, Casper, has done a wonderful job of making sure that working with the science team with drones, they can monitor the population of hogs, keep them low, and the flamingos are nesting, and you can see the little gray birds at the bottom are young flamingos, and we're happy to see them. But to go from on the verge of extinction to flamingos running across the island, so they can be seen in Long Island, they can be seen in Westside National Park, which is in Andros. So that's this beautiful image we have here. This is the power of conservation. We could have had a completely different national bird, but it took not only the work of an organization, but of the people who live here, right? It's important to us and it's a part of our identity. Next slide. And so that brings us into our culture. So many of you probably grew up playing outside. I think outside. I've heard the stories of making tops and kites from things that come from trees. I was not quite a part of that generation. But climbing trees, playing outside, when I ask people, what is your favorite memory outside? I tend to get lots of those stories of summertime, mommy and granny send you out the house and don't come back home until it's lunchtime, right? And so that is a part of our culture that we don't want to lose. And so preserving these wide open spaces like the pine forest and the coppice forest allow us to continue even just parts of it. It may not be to the extent that it was before, especially in Napa, but on family islands as well. It allows children to have those experiences that allow them to realize I can play without being in front of the screen. And then furthermore, it preserves important species for our identity, like the Bahama parrot that you see down here. And if we go to the next slide. It will also preserve generational knowledge. And so bush tea is that generational knowledge that we hope to continue to pass on. So for example, my father was boiling Cersei last night, and he talked about, well, I teased him actually. I teased him about how he wants to rinse his leaves in vinegar and water now, and I asked him, well, yeah, Grammy did not do that before she boiled the leaves. She rinsed them off, put them in the pot. My daddy is sound very pushy. But everybody's family has an idea of what to do when you're sick. Some people boil Cersei, some people's families say, no, you need to go and get 5-finger and love vine and a little bit of garlic and honey, we're gonna boil that together. Everybody's family has their own tradition. And so the Leon Levy Native Plant Preserve in Governor Carver aims to hold on to some of that generational knowledge, right? And so that it continues to be passed on. So not only are we through conservation preserving our identity, but we're preserving our culture and our history. Like, who are we as a people? If we don't hold on to that, what will happen in the future? And so it is a beautiful preserve. You can go up to Ethan's Tower, which is this wooden building here, and have a view for miles of Eleuthera. This is the walking path, and then of course we have lots of signage and a edible history and medicinal plant garden there as well. And so it's a wonderful place to go. There's a website if you want to learn more about medicinal plant uses, levypreserve.org. And it's a great resource. They've cataloged over 1,400 of the native plants to the Lucayan archipelago. And so just about any plant you can think of, you go on there and you can search for it by common name or scientific name, and you can start to think for yourself, okay, well, I want to boil this, what is it good for? Like a lot of times we just boil fever grass because we want to boil fever grass because it tastes good, which there's nothing wrong with that. But what are the purposes of it? Like, what is it good for? My granny bathed me in sage when I had chicken pox, right? Some of us have those types of memories, and this is a way to continue that. Next slide. And then conservation helps us to be resilient. I think we all remember Hurricane Dorian. I don't think we will forget Hurricane Dorian. And unfortunately, if we don't act better for the planet, we may help more Dorian in our future. And so the top picture of the plants that are dead, those are mangroves that were found in Grand Bahama. And so what mangroves are, is they are, in the bottom picture, these lovely plants that are adapted to growing in salt water. So those are red mangroves. And they have these wonderful properties that keep them up out of the water, and they protect us from storm surges. So the more wind you have, the bigger the wave. And so with Hurricane Dorian being a category 5, there were huge waves. And so they found that the mangroves had died, but they had done their job. They had protected the coastline during a major hurricane. And so in the boat there, you will see there are young mangroves or mangrove propagules that are going to be planted or have been planted for restoration efforts. And then coral reefs as well are also a part of our defense against storm surges. And Grand Bahama actually lost 50% of their coral reefs. And so being able to do the conservation work of having scientists go out there from our organization and other partners to say, this is how many acres need to be restored. This is how much of the coral reefs are left. Here's what we can do to preserve them. Here's how we can pass on this information and share it to other entities, whether they're in the government or if they are in the private sector. And these are the ones that are sick with stony tissue coral loss disease or other disease and how we can fight it. All of it is about growing our resilience so that we can bounce back after natural disasters. Because if we're not going to protect what is already here, we set ourselves up for more damage, right? We don't want to keep spending 1.3 billion in restoration efforts after the storm. But places like Bonefish Pond, Abaco National Park, Exona Keys Land and Sea Park, places that have these natural safeguards here, we are working to preserve them, not just by ourselves, but with the work of the community. Next slide. And so how can you support this work? Of course, volunteerism is always appreciated and always welcome, but you can also become a member. This supports our work and funds how we can do the things that we do. So for $30 a year as an individual, $50 as a family, and I'm sure some of you are already members. This is how we can continue to do the work that we do. So you can, once you are a member, enjoy access to all 33 parks across the country for the entire year. And you get exclusive invitations into events like Jobbification, Wine and Art, Festival and Well. And we pride ourselves on our membership because our members are often very dedicated individuals to conservation efforts. They understand the value of what's here, or they want to learn more and become involved. And we're very grateful for them. So if you're not a member and you're interested, I definitely encourage you to become a member. You can talk to our membership officer who's here today around the clock. But this is my very short presentation to remind you that conservation is not just, I like sea turtles, I think they're cute, right? It's about preserving our identity, preserving our culture, preserving our history, and preserving the way that nature takes care of us. If we protect nature, nature will protect us. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
Let's start with that thing, that board. I think it's a board.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Obviously, when people see snakes, they automatically want to kill them. Obviously, they say no behemoth snake is poisonous,
Yeah.
right? So can you talk a little about how can we protect things like snakes? Because there's been an increase in rodents. So what can we do in terms of making sure that there's a proper balance? That's the first question. The second question is when you talked about the flamingos and the wild hogs. I think you said hogs.
Yeah.
The wild hogs. How do you balance that? Because there has to be a proper balance between obviously the hogs and the flamingos. So how was that balanced? Because obviously you had to stop one from the other.
Yeah,
So
so I'll start with the boa. So we do have a few native snake species in the Bahamas. The boa is non-venomous. They are slow moving. If you encounter a lovely one in your home, and you feel brave enough, you can safely remove it. You do not need to hold them behind the head. They're not venomous. That will probably agitate it, but you can pick it up from the back of your
but it's
body.
gonna still bite you.
No, they're very docile. They're actually really, really afraid of you, and sometimes they will musk, which is when they release a fluid. Yeah, it's an awful smell. Like behemoths call them foul snakes because they smell
That's why they
foul.
call them fowls.
That's a defense to make you think they're dead.
If we killed snakes, we wouldn't have so many rats.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, the balance, the balance.
Snake, they're wonderful creatures. I have one that lives in my garden. And
No rodent.
it, you know, I mean, it's not doing anything
Yeah,
dangerous.
They don't
I
chase
just have
you.
no rats.
That's what I mean, no rodent.
Yeah, you can.
So
remove
should we
them.
go there and get a couple boas and put in our yard? I don't know.
That's up to you and the discretion of your household, but you can safely remove them and put them back into a garden or a yard. If they find they're really indoors, they're usually searching for somewhere warm, so like car engine, water heaters. But like Sheila mentioned, they do eat the pets. They are keeping the rat population down. And so if we go out and we start to kill them and their population declines, we have this problem of rodents running rampant. And if you want help, you can call the ENT or go on Facebook to the snake rescue page and they will come and remove it for you.
Okay, I'll bring a couple.
I don't know about bringing.
Now back to the second question.
Yes, so,
Sorry, you know, so just before she answers your second
The
question.
snake.
Yeah, back to the snake,
You want
right?
one?
Mhm.
You said particularly that the boas are not venomous. Do we have any venomous snakes here?
we've no venomous snakes in the Bahamas, so we are very blessed to have animals that are non-venomous. We don't have any large land creatures, like the biggest mammal we have is a hutia, which is not found on most
What's
islands in the Bahamas. So the hutia, it is our only endemic mammal. So endemic means found in only one place in the world. It's a rodent. Yeah, it looks like a really big rat, kind of like a cross
Like a
between a
raccoon?
rat and a hamster.
Like a rat and a raccoon?
Not as big as
It's bigger
a
than
Leave
a rat.
my raccoons alone.
yeah, leave the raccoons alone, but
I haven't
about
seen that.
between. They're not that big, so I'd say maybe a really big rat or like a small kitty, like it's about that size. They were thought to have been extinct, but we found them on some of the uninhabited keys and islands. Yeah.
No snakes on the island, obviously.
If anybody wants to come and meet raccoons, snakes, birds, come visit me. I'm just down the road from the National Trust.
They're not extinct, they wanna shoot us, yeah.
We got it.
Sheila,
How many raccoons?
Sheila.
She said, how many raccoons do you have, Sheila?
Huh?
How many raccoons do you have?
39.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
wow.
come on, Sheila.
Do they keep you?
Have them.
They
I
should
don't
visit.
have them. They are not pets. I do feed them once a day
Right.
because it keeps them from dispersing.
Mm.
But they are not pets. I do not go up and pat them on the head and stroke them. They know me. They accept me, but they are not pets.
Okay. So I think the flamingo question, so the initial problem was the hunting them for sport and for their feathers. And for food, people were looking up some flamingos to have for dinner.
Hush, hush.
Yeah, that's illegal, don't do that. Mm-mm,
Don't do that.
don't do that, that's
Stop
illegal.
it, Alex.
Thanks.
I would have no idea, that's before my time.
Your daddy say like chicken.
That's before my daddy time too. But after that problem, they had wild hogs, and so you bring the hunters in and they have to exterminate the hog. Now, I'm not saying get rid of every hog on the island, but you need to lower the population of them. So that the flamingos, once they have their young, they have a chance to hatch and to grow.
Yeah.
And then the population grows, and then we had another problem with them again, and so. The hunters had to go back out there, they're all local hunters. And they had to, again, keep the population low, and so now with modern technology, we can use drones. And satellite imaging to help them, because the park is really big. And so they're able to use science to help them figure out where to go.
Which island is called?
Inawa.
You know, I was there and we saw, it was interesting, we were going towards one, we saw wild donkeys.
They got wild donkeys out there.
That's kind of looking at us like, you think, bad, come on, this vehicle and be.
It's even
We have driving, right?
Yeah.
Wild donkeys, a lot of wild mosquitoes. We didn't get to see any of them.
wild mosquitoes?
I can show you a video that has evidence that they were wild. We weren't able to see the flamingos for some reason. They said that's like a protected, or it's on the other side of the island or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you see the place where they go on the pump?
I've never been to Inawa.
Oh my goodness, you don't know what you missed.
Well, I wanna go so bad.
A long 2.5 hour flight, that's what you missed.
It's worth it. But you can see the flamingos on other islands, like they spread across different.
It's native sea barracuda, the barracudas go in this shallows where they, water salt has this thing with. And they go in there, they can't come back out, so if all the persons on Inawa eat barracuda from that area, this is in our poisonous.
Okay,
That was really awesome.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Where we on?
Question also. What's your money?
Oh, hi. I have a question in reference to Bonefish Pond. I tried to take some guests out there on a tour before. My bus was loaded with people, but then there was a car like blocking the entrance, like it was really scary. Do you all have security based out there in the event that people do come out there and it looks suspicious? Because we literally had to turn back around.
Yeah, so we do have a park warden and we have park security out there. Bonefish Pond is currently only open to the public on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays. If you were out there on one of those days that is not listed, it could have been our park security who was blocking the entrance. So we will open the park if a school books a field trip with us. And they need to come on a Wednesday morning or something like that. He will block the park off so that we don't have other guests entering the park because it's only supposed to be open for the students, and that helps us as our staff maintain the safety of the children that are there.
Okay, thank you, noted. Because I think it was an off day because we end up in the one in the back there by Albany instead of going to Bonefish Pond.
Okay, yes.
The mangroves, I've actually seen the mangrove, sorry, go ahead. Jim.
Bonefish Pond, it is off of Cowpen Road, so you would drive west on Cowpen Road and pass the Southern Cemetery. And then it's gonna be your next lap, so there'll be signage that says Bonefish Pond.
The mangroves, I was asking, I've actually seen mangroves in action, how they actually break the waves. You showed a picture where a number of them died as a result of Dorian. How can we like plan them, replan them? What can we do to get them going again?
Okay, so there's a number of planting efforts by different environmental organizations. So of course, BNT, we have mangrove planting. So in February for World Wetlands Day, we had mangrove plantings out at Bonefish Pond, as well as I believe the government agency did one in Grand Bahama. And there's the Waterkeepers Alliance, and they are also invested in restoring the mangrove population. So if you contact an environmental organization, we're usually able to point you in the right direction of when is the next planting, how many volunteers do you have, and starting to get that set up. And that's been a really big priority. It's making sure that Abercrombie Grand Bahamas coastline can be prepared for the next hurricane season.
One question, or you might the final one too, but in Barbados, they have this cave, I forgot what it's called, but it's one of the tourist sites. It has like icicles or something like that.
Oh, in a cave?
Yeah.
So those are stalactites come from the ceiling,
Stalactites.
stalagmites come from the ground.
Right.
We have caves, so like if you go to Lucaya National Park, or if you go to maybe not in National Park, if you go down to the Hackett Bay Caves, you can see some of the formations. Yeah, you see them in Long Island. It's just about how water is shaping the rock. So as it's draining down, it will carve out the rock as it.
But I know that when I visited there, it just seems like they had it so organized and it was like a real nice tourist attraction.
You have that Long Island as well.
Yeah, so unfortunately, in Nassau, we don't have caves like that to explore, but like if you go to Grand Bahama, if you go to Eleuthera, the Long Island,
Right.
there are tours that are organized for people to go and explore them.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of them are filled with water, so it's really cool to watch the fish swim by in them. And some people will go and scuba dive in them if they're certified.
Why is the BNT really trying to advance that, progress that to really make it like a real?
We are working with the Ministry of Tourism, they are partnering with us, until it's in the pipelines, it just takes a little bit of time to get it going. And like somebody gently mentioned over here, it takes funding.
Funding. I have this, my final question, in terms of the concern about persons building docks and dredging in the parks. How can we secure and protect our country from entities that are coming in and are actually building these docks in our parks? Conservation.
Yeah, there's been grave concern over what is happening. I hesitate to say the word allowed. There are laws in place, especially now with the Department of Environmental Protection Plan, people just say DEP for short. Where you should not be developing on coastlines, or an environmental impact assessment has to have been done, and you should be advised by a consultant or an agency about it. Mangroves are a protected species. For every one that's approved in development, 2 more have to be planted. So there are laws in place about what can and cannot be done based on its risk to damaging the environment. But we know things happen. And put pressure on the people who have the influence. So put pressure on your Minister of Environment, put pressure on the MPs, put pressure on Department of Environmental Protection and Planning, put pressure on the people who can go in and enforce, and to ensure that they know that the Bahamian public is not happy, and we will not allow this to happen.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Presentation on conservation. I learned something new, I didn't realize. Oh,
Go back, how far? Which one?
You gotta go.
No,
into
you
the
gotta go to
other
the end.
point.
Oh, did
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
It's in the other
yeah,
tower.
I think so.
Alright.
But the mangroves being able to
Oh, great.
get, right, break up the storm during the hurricane.
Yeah.
will Keep the coastline safe. I thought that was very, very interesting. But thank you once again. It's just a small token of our appreciation from the club to you.
Oh, thank you.
Topic of conservation.
Date again.
Open the other tower.
Thank you.
Which one?
Then click on share.
As long as I make it.
Okay, then just advance to the. Another one.
Thank you.
There.
Sorry, Danny, we have, our certificate.
Yes,
for-
also, Catherine, certificate there for you as well. I guess you're gonna email it to Catherine.
Yeah.
All right.
Catherine, we're protecting the environment, we're not giving any take.
All right, just in case you have to give an account to where you were today, you can always have reference to that. All right, okay, Rotarians, yes, we have, anyone did the, raffles?
The raffle, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Numbers we have. Yep. Yeah, for me, one of our guests choosing. Never, that's true.
One of our guests too.
Make sure they don't-
All right.
Okay.
595.
Just say even.
595. 356. 595 356.
You got it? You got it? All right.
Well, we can check it right now.
Okay, we get it.
Okay, we got it?
It's my spot. Three. Oh, okay, sorry. Hold it. You got it? Yeah, just hold it. Why don't you?
There you go.
So I'm told that raffle raised $90. Mr.
All
Morgan,
right.
the club needs that. All right.
Guys.
All right.
Also remember that that raffle goes to foundation.
I thought you were going. Funny.
Which cave we went in Long Island is?
Money, the way wishes to know which cave you all went in Long Island.
Dane's Cave.
Dean's Cave.
All right, this is my good colleague over here from BNT. Yeah, Dean's Cave, you know that one? Dean's Cave.
All right.
Very
All right, so just before we part, I did have this printed, so I want to just say this one, all right? I want you to all answer this for me, please, who's have the highest IQ inside here. I am a protector who sits on a bridge. I know, I know. Right? I am a protector who sits on a bridge. Only one person can see through me, while others cannot. What am I?
It sounds like a BNT question.
Anything else? Almost sunglasses.
Oh.
Okay. All right, last one. What's the quickest way to double your money? Good tries. Put it in front of a mirror. All right. Okay, Terry, please join with me in the Can we all be upstanding, please?
By the way, Doc is over here.
Oh, like that? We call Doc for very, very special ceremony. We don't wanna wear that out. All right, so of the things we think, say or do, and for those of our guests, this is the model that Rotary lives by. All our members are supposed to, it's actually the main exception sometimes, you know, we try. All right, of the things we think, say or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Carrington, we added this one since you've not been here. All right, I'll ask Senator Terry and Donnie to lead us in the loyalty.
Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
Have a fantastic week, everybody.
We give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing up.